Hi, my name's Alara, and while my sister, Selena, was popping champagne corks to celebrate a $700 million inheritance, I was right there, holding our dying mother's hand. Mom left Selena everything: the sprawling Ashton estate, the award winning vineyard, even the family name that opened every door. All I got? An old, scratched up flip phone. No letter, no heartfelt explanation, just that. But when I finally turned it on, I didn't find the closure I desperately needed. I found Mom's voice, and what she revealed could bury more than just Selena's carefully crafted image. It could unearth secrets powerful people paid millions to keep buried. So I have to ask you, what would you do if the last thing your mother ever gave you was a truth so explosive it threatened to burn everything down? Before we get into it, let me know in the comments what time it is where you're listening and what part of the world you're in. Because this isn't just my story, it's a reckoning. Napa Valley was aglow that evening. The hills, bathed in that ethereal golden light you only see in late spring. The Ashton estate, our family home, stood like a glittering jewel atop it all. Soft jazz drifted over the vineyards, expensive, understated. Camera flashes erupted like fireworks at the grand entrance as guests in designer silk and tailored satin glided from sleek black town cars, their laughter a little too loud, champagne flutes already in hand before they even reached the steps. And Selena was the sun around which they all orbited, radiant, like she'd personally painted the sunset. She wore shimmering gold, not just any gold, but a custom-fitted mirror-shine gown that probably cost more than my annual salary. Her hair, a complex regal sweep. Her heels, clicking like authoritative punctuation marks on the flagstone path. Every single eye was on her as she raised her glass, her voice ringing out, "To legacy! Mine, at last." Not one word about our mother. While Selena toasted her newfound empire, I was a mere 20 minutes away, perched on the edge of a sterile hospice bed. Mom's forehead was warm, not with fever, but with the fading embers of her life. I dabbed it gently with a cool cloth. Her breathing was a slow, agonizing push against the heavy silence in the room. "Alara," a kind nurse, Maria, whispered as she passed, "you don't have to stay here every single hour." I knew. But I stayed. Even when Mom's words became muddled, even when she sometimes couldn't recall if I was her daughter or just another face in the room, something in her eyes, that deep, knowing part of her, still recognized I wouldn't leave. Not like Selena had years ago in spirit and now so glaringly in practice. The gala invitation lay crumpled in my purse. I hadn't planned to go, but guilt is a relentless companion. It gnaws at you, especially when you're the solitary figure in a quiet room while the world outside celebrates a lie. I left the hospice just as the sun dipped below the horizon, pulling into the Ashton driveway under a canopy of twinkling fairy lights and the relentless barrage of camera flashes. I didn't come to make a scene. I genuinely hoped, they'd let me say something small about Mom, a brief tribute. But the instant Selena saw me, her perfectly curated smile vanished, like a curtain dropping. "You shouldn't be here," she hissed, her lips barely moving, the venom perfectly concealed from her adoring audience. "Not tonight. I just wanted to speak for Mom," I pleaded, my voice barely a whisper. "1 minute, that's all." Selena leaned in, her perfume cloying, her voice a silken whisper laced with steel. "Mom left you the only thing you ever deserved, Alara." Silence. She turned, dismissing me with a flick of her wrist, and walked away. I stood there stunned, the ambient noise of the party fading into a dull roar. The room hadn't heard her words, but they struck me like a physical blow, leaving an invisible stain. Still, a desperate, foolish part of me moved toward the microphone. The MC, a local celebrity, hesitated, his eyes darting nervously to Selena. She didn't even flinch. 2 large security men materialized, flanking me as if I were a genuine threat. I barely managed a syllable before one placed a heavy, too firm hand on my shoulder. "Ma'am," he whispered, his voice polite but unyielding, "you're disrupting the program." "I'm her daughter," I said, louder than I intended, the words catching in my throat. Her daughter! Selena's voice cut through the murmur, cold and clear without her even looking back. Not tonight, you're not. They escorted me out, past tables of curious guests, their faces a blur of furrowed brows and hushed whispers. One woman, someone I vaguely remembered from Mom's old book club, looked at me with a flicker of recognition, like I was a half-forgotten story she hadn't quite finished. The air outside felt colder, sharper. My breath plumed in white clouds. The silence then was more deafening than any of Selena's pronouncements. Back at the hospice, Maria, the nurse, was just finishing her rounds. She slipped in and out, Maria said softly, nodding towards Mom's room. Didn't ask for anyone but you. Oh, and she left this. Maria handed me a plain white box the size of a small paperback. My name, Alara, was written across the top in Mom's familiar, now shaky, handwriting. She told me to give it to you if anything changed. Inside, nestled on a bed of tissue paper, was a scratched-up flip phone, ancient-looking, one of those plastic bricks with a rubbery keypad and a screen. No bigger than a matchbox. On top of it, a post-it note, for your eyes only. I almost laughed, a hollow, bitter sound. After all that, erased from the will, ejected from the party, effectively disowned from my mother's legacy, I get a burner phone. I tossed it onto the kitchen counter and went to check on Mom. She was asleep, finally peaceful. The kind of sleep that doesn't need a clock. I stayed with her. Hours drifted by. Sometime after midnight, I wandered back into the small hospice kitchen. Picked up the phone. Habit, curiosity, I don't know. It was dead, of course. I found an old charger in a drawer of Mom's belongings, plugged it in, and went to make tea, not expecting anything. Then a soft, almost forgotten chime echoed. The screen blinked. A blue folder icon appeared. Only daughter. I froze. The screen lit again. One line of text beneath the folder. They've already erased you. Blink. Only daughter. My thumb, trembling, tapped it. The folder flickered, paused. A small gray box. Enter password. My stomach clenched. I tried Mom's birthday, then mine. Combinations, our old address, Maria's name, the date Dad passed. Nothing. I tried one more, Mom's favorite flower. Sunflower. She always said it looked like pure hope. Still wrong. I slumped back, the phone surprisingly warm in my hand. Then, a sound crackled through the tiny speaker. Grainy, barely there. I almost dropped it. It was her voice, Mom's, faint, breathy, like she'd recorded it from the very edge of the world. Don't let them sign it. Alara. It's not final. Not yet. Then silence. I hit replay, desperate, but the message was gone. Vanished, just like her. I stayed on that uncomfortable hospice couch the rest of the night, the phone clutched. In my lap. Sleep was a distant memory, my mind racing, replaying her words. Sign what? What wasn't final? The sky was still a bruised pre-dawn gray when the doorbell rang at Mom's small apartment, the one she'd moved to after Selena took over the main house. I wasn't expecting anyone. Two men stood there, dressed in impeccable slacks and tailored jackets, carrying sleek briefcases, polite smiles that never reached their eyes. Ms. Ashton? The thinner one inquired, holding out a manila envelope like a peace offering. We're from Belmont and Thorne, representing your sister Selena Ashton. May we come in? I didn't answer, just stepped aside. We sat at the small kitchen table. I noted how quickly they arranged everything, documents pre-opened, pens at the ready. These are standard, the broader man explained, his voice smooth. Just a formal release of claims. Given the will was clear and Ms. Selena Ashton is the sole beneficiary, this simply avoids any future complications. I haven't even read the will, I stated flatly. Of course, the thinner one nodded, a little too sympathetically. But the terms are final. This is about closure. Closure. That word again. It felt emptier than ever. I skimmed the first few pages. Dense, legalistic, cold. Then I paused. One line, printed in small italics. The revised estate plan dated April 17th is deemed void and unenforceable. Revised? I asked, looking up. What revision? The two men exchanged a look, so quick I almost missed it. The thin man recovered. First. It's an old version, nothing actionable. That's not what I asked. The broader man cleared his throat. Your mother wasn't entirely in her right mind when she considered that change anyway. My head snapped up. So she did revise it? He hesitated. Well, there were drafts, conversations, nothing binding. I pushed the papers back towards them. I won't sign. They both chuckled, a condescending, humorless sound. You're making this harder than it needs to be, the thin one said, already gathering his things. This was meant to give you a clean exit. I didn't ask for a clean exit, I retorted. I asked for the truth. Before they could respond, I stood. We're done. They left with clipped goodbyes and muttered frustrations. I locked the door, my heart pounding. I hadn't even sat down before my phone buzzed. Selena. I let it ring twice, then answered. Her voice sickly sweet, dangerously calm. Alara. I heard the lawyers stopped by. They did. She sighed, that long-suffering sigh she used when I was a child and had done something inconvenient. This doesn't have to get messy. It's already messy, Selena. Then don't make it worse. A pause. You've always been the quiet one, Alara. Stay that way. It suits you. I'm not 12 anymore, Selena. No, but you're still not someone who knows when to walk away. I didn't respond. Let it go, she said, her voice dropping softly. There's nothing in that old phone worth ruining the family over. And then she hung up. I stared at the screen. She knew. She knew what Mom had left me. I went back to the couch, picking up the flip phone again, scrolling through every obscure menu, every folder, every setting. That's when I saw it, a buried app. It looked like a simple game icon, but when I tapped it, another folder popped. Up, audio record Ashton 323 legal clause MP4. I held my breath. The icon pulsed once. Hesitantly, I tapped it. A low hiss, static, then breath. If something happens to me, it was Mom's voice again, stronger this time. Check clause 17C. I changed it. I left something for you, Alara. Selena doesn't. No. I gripped the phone tighter, my pulse hammering. That tone. It wasn't frail. It was deliberate, focused. She knew what she was saying, knew this might be the only way it would ever reach me. I played it again and again. Clause 17C. What did it mean? I barely slept. Morning arrived unannounced, seeping through the blinds while my mind was still sprinting. Coffee, silence, then the phone again. A second pop-up appeared now that the audio had played. Coordinates, an address in town, Old Orchard Savings and Loan, a place Mom hadn't visited in years, or so I'd believed. I threw on a jacket, my jaw clenched as I drove past the Ashton Vineyard, where Selena had held her lavish gala just 2 nights before. She was likely still basking in the glow of her new role as the Ashton matriarch. The bank was quiet, unassuming, on a side street. No marble, just glass doors that stuck. I gave the teller Mom's name. When she asked for ID, I slid the printed code from the phone, the coordinates, across the counter. 10 minutes later, I was in a private room with a small metal safety deposit box. Inside, a flash drive, wrapped in a lavender handkerchief that still smelled faintly of Mom's perfume. Beneath it, a sealed envelope, my name in her script. I sat there for a long moment before opening it. The letter began simply, My dearest, Alara, I should have spoken louder. I should have protected you more. This was the only way I could leave something true. Tears slipped silently onto my jeans. This wasn't just guilt or grief. It was the validation I'd craved for decades. She had known. At home, I plugged the flash drive into my old laptop. A folder blinked open. Contracts, handwritten notes, a scanned copy of a legal will. Revised. dated 1 week after the version Selena's lawyers presented. Clause 17C was highlighted. In the event that Alara Ashton is excluded from all public acknowledgement or estate discussion, this clause restores her position as co-beneficiary. A safeguard. But no one mentioned it. Buried. Unless you knew. And now I did. Still, something felt off. Another file sat at the bottom. Diary week before gala.mp3. I clicked. Her voice softer, a confession. I didn't want it this way, she whispered. But Selena was relentless. Don't you want to leave a legacy, mother? Alara wouldn't care anyway. I signed the wrong version, then I changed it back. Marcus helped. He said he'd make sure the right one was filed. But then, things moved too fast. Her breathing grew shaky. Alara never wanted anything but the truth. So I left her that. The recording ended. Marcus A. Not a stranger, Mom's older brother, Uncle Marcus, handled the estate books before Selena. Quiet, always in the background. One final document, the revised will. Beneath Mom's faded signature, another, Marcus A. Witness. He knew. By early afternoon, I was at his small cottage, rose bushes wild, a tangled wind chime. He opened the door, blinking. Alara. I need to talk to you, Uncle Marcus. About Mom. I held up the phone. His house smelled of old paper and menthol. I showed him his signature. She asked me to witness it, he murmured. She said Vera, Selena, was pushing her, that the lawyers were showing up. She wanted a backup. She trusted you. I know. His voice cracked. And yet, you said nothing when they read the other will. He rubbed his temple. You think I didn't want to? Selena's team, a man named Daryl, said it was better for everyone, that your mother had changed her mind again. Did she? He looked down. No, I don't think so. He retrieved a manila folder, a copy of the envelope Mom had used, sealed, addressed to herself, marked personal. I kept it, just in case. Because you knew it wasn't right. He didn't respond. You were there, Marcus. You watched her sign it. And when they erased her voice, you stayed silent. He closed his eyes. I thought they'd honor her in other ways. I didn't think they'd cut you out completely. I laughed, a bitter sound. You didn't think Selena would cut me out? She's your niece. She's different. He looked older, grayer. I'll testify, he said finally. If this goes to court, I'll tell them. Why now? Because I found this, or because you finally can't sleep? Because you asked, and because I can't lie anymore. As I stood to leave, he added, one condition, keep my name out of it publicly. My wife? She's sick. She doesn't know. I nodded. If you stand by your word, I'll protect what you care about. Back home, an envelope slid under my door. No stamp. A single page. Cease and desist. Signed by Selena's attorneys. The envelope was plain, my name typed neatly. Sterile. Impersonal. Cease and desist. My throat tightened. It wasn't just a warning. It was a clear message. You're alone, and we're watching. I reread it in the entryway, shoes still on, bag slipping from my shoulder. Legalese laced with veiled threats, defamation, unsubstantiated inquiries, a reminder of Selena's high-powered legal team. I laid it on the kitchen counter. My tea from that morning was cold. Was I going too far? Spinning a fantasy? I thought of Uncle Marcus, how he looked handing me that envelope, like he'd waited years for someone to ask. But now, was I dragging him into something that would destroy us both? That night, sleep was a stranger. Mom's face in that hospital bed, not in pain, but in absence. I'd held her hand, whispered prayers. I thought presence meant something. Maybe I was wrong. At dawn, a text from Selena. Why are you doing this, Ilara? You think this will bring her back? I deleted it, deleted the thread. Then, before I could second guess, I deleted the app I'd used to pull files from Mom's phone. Gone. The phone sat on the coffee table, dark, lifeless. I stared at it for 10 long minutes. My hand hovered. I stood up instead. By mid-morning, I was digging through an old storage bin, tossing everything in: flash drives, notes, printouts, even Mom's flip phone. If I kept pushing, Selena would bury me, legally, emotionally. She already had. I stayed. I whispered aloud, pacing. That should have mattered. My fingers trembled as I reached for the box lid, ready to close it, to let it all go. Then the phone screen blinked. It was off. I'd powered it down. Yet now it pulsed, as if waiting for this very moment. I lifted it, staring. The screen flickered. Backup folder detected. A single file, Final Mom Voice AVI. I hesitated, then tapped play. Her voice raspy but unmistakably Mom. Ilara, if you've come this far, I need you to know. They made me sign it. While I was medicated, I wasn't in my right mind. They said it was easier that way. The breath left my body. She paused, catching her own exhaustion. I never wanted it to end this way. Not with lawyers, not with Selena smiling like she'd won. I tried, God knows I tried to make things fair. But I was tired, and they knew it. Silence. Then her voice cracked, one last time. If anyone can carry truth quietly, Ilara, it's you. That was it. The recording stopped. The screen went black, but I sat still, not crying, not shaking, just sitting, because it was all finally, painfully clear. She hadn't fought loud. She'd fought in whispers, in hidden folders, in handwritten letters. Desperation, not cowardice. And she trusted me to finish it. I set the phone down carefully, reopened the backup folder, downloaded every file. Before my nerve could fail, I opened a blank email, typed in Marcus's address, attached 3 audio files, wrote one sentence. If I'm the quiet one, Uncle Marcus, let's see what happens when I speak. I didn't sleep. Watched the sun climb. No reply. Not yet. By 9 a.m., I'd called Mom's favorite little Italian place, reservation for 2. Quiet corner. By 9:10, I'd messaged Selena. Dinner tonight. Just you and me. No lawyers, no drama. Just sisters. By noon, 3 dots danced on my screen. Vanished. Reappeared. Selena. 6:30. Don't make it messy. I could almost hear her tone, clipped, like she was doing me a favor. I arrived early. Chamomile tea, Mom's usual spot. Selena. Walked in, heads turning in admiration, polished, untouchable, pearl earrings. She sat, placed her clutch on the table like a queen. You're early. I've been ready, I said. We ordered. Barely spoke. Dessert came. My moment. I reached into my coat, set a small, black, unmarked flash drive on the white tablecloth. She froze. That's what Mom left me, I said. Her voice. Her words. You might want to hear what she said about you. She laughed, sharp, dismissive. You're bluffing. No, I said calmly. I'm remembering, and I'm done forgetting. She picked it up like a soiled napkin. You think this changes? Anything? It does. Clause 17C is still valid. You knew that, didn't you? Her face twitched, just a flicker. You don't have the guts to take this public, she said low. I met her eye. That's what you counted on, wasn't it? That I'd stay quiet. Selena smiled, slow, icy. And yet, here we are. Neither of us touched dessert. She left first. Later on my couch, laptop open, I logged into the memorial page we'd made for Mom. Selena had forgotten it. New post. Title: She always said the quiet ones remember. Everything. Body. The truth is never loud, but it's permanent. I added a single link: anonymous drive, redacted files, audio, signatures. Enough. I hit post, shut the laptop. Stared at the wall until morning. The call came at 7:02 a.m. No caller ID, but I knew that voice. "You crossed a line, Alara," Selena said, cool and sharp. "Don't think you'll like what happens next." The line went dead. Her words hung in the air. "You crossed a line?" Anger, or something colder, settled in my chest. I didn't check emails until after coffee. The first one wasn't an ad. Forwarded from HR. Subject: urgent concern regarding online activity. Beneath it, a short sentence from my supervisor. "Let's meet at 11, privately." I scrolled. Someone had sent screenshots to my workplace. Old stuff, a conflict with a team member long resolved, complaints twisted, comments taken out of context. Attached, a blog post, anonymous source, Alara Ashton, the forgotten sister with a dangerous imagination. I almost laughed. The photos they'd used weren't stock. They were real. One from Mom's funeral, my eyes swollen, no makeup. Caption: unstable? Sources say yes. By 10:30, I was in my manager's office. She looked uncomfortable. "Alara," she began, "we've received communications, unverified but concerning." I let her speak, fumble through company image, external behavior. I nodded, stood. "I understand. You'll want me to take a leave?" Her sigh was enough. No tears, no argument. I just walked out. My car, same spot for 5 years. Something had shifted. In me. By the time I reached home, I knew Selena's team planned this. Too clean, too coordinated. As I closed my apartment door, a different sound. Mom's voice, faint, calm, from the phone still charging. I'd hit play without realizing. "They'll try to make you feel small, Alara, but you're not. You never were." Recorded weeks before she passed. Voice not strong, but steady. This wasn't sadness anymore. It was grief, shaped into something sharp. Around 3 p.m., I opened my contacts. Scrolled to a name I hadn't touched in years. Zara Malik. Used to write for the City Chronicle. Investigative reporter, sharp as nails. Also one of Mom's oldest, dearest friends. I sent a single text. "I have something you need to hear. It's real and it's bigger than me." She replied in 20 minutes. "Then let's talk. Tonight." We met at a bookstore cafe, edge of town. Jazz a little too loud, no one asks questions. Zara looked older, hair grayer, but her eyes just as alert. I slid the flash drive across the table. "This is everything." She plugged it into her laptop. No small talk. Her brows knit as she listened. Didn't speak until the third clip, where Mom mentioned names, lawyers, trustees, and 2 familiar senators from the donor registry. Zara leaned back slowly. "You realize this doesn't just take down your sister, Alara," she said, her voice grave. "It could ruin 5 influential people in Washington." I looked at her, my voice steady. "Then maybe it's time they all fall together." My hands didn't shake as I pushed the drive closer. "Then let the light ruin them." Zara nodded once, stood. "I'll need a few hours." By sunset, her team had a tight, quiet video. No flashy graphics, just facts, screenshots, audio. The voiceover? Mom's. Raw, slurred at moments, but unmistakably her. Title: signed while sedated, inside a $1 billion inheritance scandal. Zara clicked publish. The internet did the rest. Niche forums first, estate law, inheritance justice. By midnight, local journalists. By dawn, Hagar Clause 17C was trending nationwide. They called me the younger daughter, the contested heir. But the voice in the audio? They made me sign it while I was medicated. I never wanted it to end this way. I watched the shares rise, wrapped in the cardigan I wore to her hospice bed. A quiet knock around 8 a.m. My attorney, yes, the one I'd quietly retained 2 weeks prior, stood with coffee and a calm smile. "You ready?" "For what?" "For the court to know your name." He handed me a printed petition. Injunction to freeze disbursements. Motion to reopen probate. Plaintiff requests review based on newly discovered evidence suggesting undue influence and forgery of capacity. You're not asking for her money, he said. You're asking for your mother's real intentions to be honored. That's bigger. I signed. 2 hours later, Selena was on camera, live. Navy suit, perfect makeup, eyes glistening. My sister, my half-sister, has always been troubled, she said, pausing for the cameras. I tried to include her. This is a cruel smear campaign. Against our family. Against everything my mother built. Zara sat beside me, laptop open. She's good, Zara muttered. Practiced. Commercial break. Silence. Then the phone buzzed. Not mine, not Zara's. Mom's old phone. It lit up on the corner table. I picked it up. No caller. No alert, just a new folder. For her when the time comes. I tapped it. Single audio file, Ashton reading, by counsel.wav. Her lawyer. Mom's original estate attorney. Voice dry, clipped. This is a reading of the revised estate directive dated March 23rd, notarized and witnessed. Beneficiary instructions as follows. The document real, the will legal. And his voice named me. First. Clearly. Elara Ashton, only daughter. The silence that had followed me my entire life finally, slowly, completely cracked. I sat at my kitchen table that night, folder open, papers spread like wings. Zara leaned over them, shaking her head. If you walk into that courtroom with this, Elara, she said softly, you won't just be a footnote anymore. I closed the I as folder. I never wanted to be famous, Zara. Just seen. The next morning, dressed in simple navy slacks and a blouse I'd worn to job interviews years ago, I walked through the doors of the Napa County Courthouse. The receptionist didn't recognize me. That was fine. I placed the manila envelope on the counter. I'm here to submit a formal petition to amend Case 1832, re Ashton probate. She blinked. You're the younger daughter? No, I said, my voice quiet but firm. I'm the only daughter. The courthouse doors didn't make a sound as they closed behind me, but I felt their weight. Inside, it smelled of paper and polished tile. No crowds, no cameras, just the echo of my footsteps, the soft crinkle of the file. By the time I reached the probate clerk's desk, my palms were clammy. The folder wasn't heavy, but its contents carried the weight of years spent invisible. The clerk glanced up. You're here about the Ashton estate case? I nodded. I'm here to submit a formal petition to amend the will on record, and this, I slid the document across, is the evidence. She opened it. A moment later, the judge's assistant emerged, called my name. Inside the hearing room, I was asked to sit. Then the judge, a lean woman in her 60s, tired eyes, no-nonsense tone, asked gently, You are Elara Ashton? Yes, Your Honor. You have audio? I nodded, handed over the phone. It felt like a relic now. It had carried pain, then proof, now delivering justice. The judge pressed play. The room filled with my mother's voice. I was coerced. My daughters must know. The truth, my final will is in the vault. I never revoked it. Calm, tired, but lucid. Absolute silence followed. The judge looked up. And this will, it's notarized? Yes, and witnessed. The witness is willing to appear. She nodded once. Then I'm ordering a full review under California Probate Code. The stay on disbursements remains effective. My knees nearly buckled. Outside, I sat in the car, engine off, staring at the courthouse steps. The story broke before I could check my phone. News alerts lit up the screen. New evidence emerges in billion-dollar estate battle. Final will of Genevieve Ashton may have been overlooked. By the time I got home, Selena had pulled out of her planned media interview. Her publicist issued a vague, no comment, and quit. I refused all interview requests. I didn't need a spotlight. Then came the message. 2 words. Come alone. No signature. I knew. That evening, I drove to the vineyard. Vines dormant, air chilled. I found her near the edge of the property, where the land dipped, views stretching for miles. Selena, arms crossed, no smile, eyes cold but tired. "So," she said, the quiet girl finally screamed. "I didn't scream, Selena. I just stopped whispering." She scoffed. "You always had the softest voice, but now the world listens to you." I stepped closer, not too close. "They're not listening to me, they're listening to her. You silenced her. I just pressed play." That landed. Her jaw clenched. "I was supposed to be the one she trusted. You were the one who had access." "Selena, there's a difference." We didn't fight, didn't yell. Just stood there, surrounded by vines planted by a woman neither of us truly understood until she was gone. Selena looked away first. "You think this changes anything?" "No, I think it reveals everything." She didn't follow me when I left. Back. Home. I placed the old flip phone in a small wooden box. Simple, clean. Set it on a shelf beside a photograph of Mom in her gardening hat, dirt on her cheek, laughing. The next morning, I walked to a newly painted building that once housed a rundown cafe. Now the windows bore the name, the Genevieve Ashton Center for Family Legal Aid. Inside, a small staff, flyers, a handwritten note on the counter. She never asked, she never took, but she never left. Zara met me, 2 mugs of tea. No press, no cameras. Just the quiet hum of a purpose finally set into motion. I walked into the back room, placed the box with the phone on a shelf above law books, and exhaled. She never asked, she never took, but she never left. And for the first time, I didn't feel like the quiet one. I felt seen. This journey was about more than just an inheritance. It was about finding a voice, my mother's, and then my own. What would you have done in my shoes? Have you ever had to fight for a truth that everyone else wanted to bury? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I truly read them. And if this story resonated with you, please consider giving it a like and subscribing for more stories about finding strength in the quietest places. It really helps others find these narratives. Thank you for listening.